Austria's efforts in exploring the universe are closely connected with an institute which recently celebrated its 50th anniversary. The Space Research Institute, IWF for short, of the Austrian Academy of Sciences in Graz is the heart of space research in Austria. Since its foundation, it has earned an excellent reputation internationally. There is hardly a space mission today that launches without technology and research from Graz. The IWF is the only institute in Austria that develops and builds space-qualified instruments on a large scale. The institute is currently involved in 24 space missions. The IWF is much in demand worldwide as a dependable partner for space organizations and their missions within and beyond the solar system. Space exploration received a new impetus as the first human walked on the Moon in July 1969.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
That year also saw the launch of the first Austrian space-qualified instrument on board a sounding rocket. Two years later, Austria laid the basis for broader space research with the foundation of its very own Space Research Institute. Its first three sites were in Vienna, Graz and Innsbruck. Graz quickly became the focal point of this research. Under its first director, Professor Otto Burkhardt, the IWF began specializing in the physics of near-Earth space, satellite geodesy and experimental space research. In 1976, the Lustbühl Observatory in Graz opened. Today, it is a world-leading center for satellite observation. By means of laser ranging, the positions of over 100 satellites can currently be determined. Using this laser technology, the observatory also contributes to space safety, tracking so-called space debris, such as abandoned launch vehicle stages or non-functional spacecraft. Dangerous collisions with other satellites or with the International Space Station can thus be avoided. In 1984, Professor Willibald Riedler, Austria's space pioneer, became director. For the next 17 years, he would lead the IWF to international recognition through its involvement in Soviet missions with targets such as Halley's Comet and the Earth's neighbors, Venus and Mars. Austria's move to become a full member of the European Space Agency in 1987 allowed new international research collaborations to flourish. For many years, the IWF was spread over as many as 6 different locations throughout Graz. Thus, the construction of a central research building in Graz-Messendorf was another milestone for the Institute. Under the leadership of Professor Hans Sünkel for 4 years, followed by Professor Wolfgang Baum-Johann for 17 years, the Institute's participation in space missions was expanded. In the meantime, instruments made in Graz have flown to Saturn and its moons. As part of the Rosetta mission, several were carried on the first ever comet landing. Other instruments are currently on their way to Mercury, the closest planet to the Sun. In 2021, Professor Christiane Helling became the director of the IWF. Today, she leads a team of around 100 staff of 20 different nationalities. Anyone working in space research needs foresight and perseverance. 10 to 30 years can pass between the initial development of a flight instrument, its mission in space, and the final stage of evaluating its data. Typically, it is the next generation of scientists who reap the benefits of a space mission planned decades before. New research at the IWF will focus on exploring exoplanets, planets outside our solar system. These exoplanets are light years away from the Earth, and more than 5,000 have been discovered so far, with more being discovered practically every day.
The Space Research Institute in Graz studies extrasolar planets because we would like to understand eventually how life has emerged on Earth. And in order to do so, we need to understand how planets and stars, and eventually also life, can form in a diversity of environments which we find outside our own solar system in the galaxy.
The achievements of the Space Research Institute have contributed significantly to Austria's development over the past 5 decades into an internationally recognized and important space center. Reaching the stars has always fascinated mankind, and with every new discovery about the infinite vastness of space, a new view of the Earth opens up. About our past, our present, and our future.